Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and we're back out here in the garage for another First Impressions and Upcoming Projects video. So I have a lot on the table today to talk about in regards to guns, and the First Impressions is actually kind of a follow-up to one of my previous First Impressions videos where I talked about the Cobalt Kinetics. I guess on the side of the dust cover it says G2, but I believe this is the Hk4 SPR. I have to go look up and see exactly what the model number is on this. It's an 18-inch barreled 6mm arc precision rifle. And like I mentioned in my last video, I did try to review this first as a defensive carbine because someone might buy it as a do-all rifle. But today I took it to the 100-yard range. And I think I discovered something about it, but I want to get your input before I make any type of definitive statements. And the reason is the barrel that they put on this build is, I guess, shielded, or it is carbon fiber wrapped. So I'm assuming there's a steel liner inside, but in order to make the barrel the right profile and also to reduce weight, it's wrapped in this, composite material. And so what I discovered today at the longer distances was I believe the rifle needs to get warmed up before it really begins to be consistent. So I had a really interesting experience today, which is, I guess it's more bothersome than anything else. So I went to the range and I set up for my review, and normally when it comes to the longer distance range stuff, I have to kind of wait for people to finish shooting and then, or shoot my stuff between when they're talking and so forth. And I was there all by myself, and a couple came in, and the husband was trying to teach his wife how to shoot. They had like a suppressed 22 rifle, and they were just, and I tried to give them the look like, hey, can you just like be quiet while I just film these 5 shots? But I don't want to ruin their own experience there at the range. So I ended up turning what should have been a 20-minute range time into about an hour and a half range time, as I just kind of sat there on my phone waiting for them. I know they were kind of looking at me like, well, what's he doing? If they just wouldn't talk, it'd be totally fine. Or maybe just not talk that loud, because that's the one thing I can't edit out. Plus, when it came to the ammunition I had for this review, I only had a limited amount. So if a shot was ruined, meaning like if I did 10 shots at 100 yards and I only got 12 rounds left, and they start talking or dropping stuff or doing stuff, and I can't edit that sound out, it's distracting, I might not get my best group, it's not worth it. Now I'm out of ammo, so I had to just wait for them to leave. But during that time, I had shot the rifle at 50, 75, and 100 yards. And I discovered that when I got everything dialed in with this rifle, and then I had to stop shooting for a period of time, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, for them to shut up or leave. When I went right back to shooting the rifle, it shot to the right. But after 2 or 3 shots, the group got real tight and was back on the center of the target. So it made me start to wonder if the composite material, or the fact that there's just a sleeve for the rifle portion of the barrel, does heat affect it? Because when I had zeroed the rifle and really got it to group well, the rifle and the suppressor were hot. It was consistent. I felt like I was getting good performance out of it. I let the rifle cool down, and I start filming, boom, we're off to the right, and then about 3 shots later, it starts to move back in without me adjusting anything. I'm not changing my, essentially where my reticle is on the target, and then boom, we get that amazing group again on the center. So you tell me if you have any experience with these composite barrels, and do you find that the heat, when in use, changes the point of impact dramatically? That's what I discovered. When the rifle is hot, The barrel is hot. The suppressor is hot. It groups great. It's consistent. And it's right where I zeroed the scope. In fact, this rifle is extremely accurate, and I love 6 ARC. Fantastic gun. I like everything about it. Maybe I would go in a different direction with a stock, but overall, fantastic rifle. But when you shoot it cold, man, you are off. 3 or 4 shots later, boom, you're back on without adjusting anything. So tell me what you know about composite barrels, and does heat really affect the point of impact for you? That would help me in my review, because I definitely need to go do some research, find out what other people say. So I appreciate your input and figure all of that out before I begin to write the bullet point script for this rifle. All right, so that was my first impressions on that fantastic gun. Cobalt Kinetics seems to make some great stuff. All right, now let's talk about some upcoming projects. I was able to see an old channel friend today, my friend David. You hear me talk about him from time to time. Real fascinating guy, kind of a mysterious guy. I know he travels the world with all of his business and makes a lot of money. Okay, he does. And the stories he tells me, it's crazy, but he's one of these big-time gun collectors in that he just can't have one gun. He has to have the same gun multiple times over with sequential serial numbers. He just likes to collect that way. And he has a lot of things that he's bought over the years from estate sales. So if he goes somewhere and he sees a gun in an estate sale he wants, often he'll buy the entire gun collection of the estate sale. So he has many things that are just kind of one-offs or things that maybe he's not interested in, but he just kind of keeps around. And I messaged him and I said, hey, listen, it's been a while since you lent anything to the channel. I'm getting a little bit low on the stuff on the back wall, and I definitely want to continue to cultivate this relationship with him. In fact, he's done so much for the channel in the past. He's actually given the channel guns. He's bought the current camera that I use because he wants the channel to continue to grow and get better. So I owe David a lot. But I messaged him. I said, listen, I need some more stuff to review because I know that I'm doing a lot of high-end stuff right now. Give me something like in the mid-range. Something maybe, you're not too passionate about. Something that's older. Give me a little bit more variety because I got a lot of cool 2011s high-end stuff right now on the wall back there that are in queue. He says, I got 2 things for you. So we met today at the Frisco Gun Club where I was shooting all of my footage for the Cobalt Kinetics. He brought me 2 pistols. So let's go over those, see what you guys think. So the first one is this one. Springfield Armory Ultra Compact. It says caliber 45 on this side. So it's a stainless steel, officer-sized, 1911. Obviously designed for concealed carry. The only magazine he had for it was this Chip McCormick 10-rounder, but I have a few of the Colt officer-sized magazines inside, so we'll use that. And I think when he got this at the estate sale, it came with these, what is it, like the Crimson Trace grips or whatever, which I'm not going to, use the laser on it or anything, but it feels pretty good. And feels like a Colt officer. In fact, when it comes to the subcompact 1911s, I like this size and barrel length. So this is, I believe, a 3.5-inch barrel, which is the same length as the Colt officer models from the 1970s, when Rock Island Armory actually first made them for general officers. So we do have a little bit of the scallop up here. Many of the subcompact 1911s you see today are 3-inch barrels, and they come right to the end of the dust cover. So they try to shave off that little bit of length. Why do they do that? I don't really know. I find that this barrel length is more reliable because the recoil spring assembly is a little bit longer. Now, it uses a completely different system than a traditional 1911, and that goes all the way back to the 1970s because it's just too short. So you can see typically these things have like bull barrels, and It has a weird bushing here, so it comes apart a little bit different. And there's been a few other types of recoil systems that have been designed for 1911s this length. They're all a little bit weird, and they're all trying to make the best of a gun that was initially designed to be a 5-inch barreled, full-size handgun, John Moses Browning's masterpiece, essentially. But when they scale these down to 3 inches, and that's all Colt makes now, and all pretty much anybody makes, I find that the reliability of these small pistols becomes spotty. I mean, everybody complains about it. They just don't run 100%. But this barrel length, I find, is much better. Much better, and I think you get a longer sight radius, so I think the gun is more accurate. It looks more like a traditional 1911. I just feel like they just work well. And the barrel length doesn't really matter when it comes to concealability. Typically, it's the grip length. And this is going to be the same grip length get rid of this mag here. It's essentially a 1911 grip that has been shortened by 1 round. And it's the same length as every officer size frame, regardless if it's a 3-inch or a 3.5-inch. Stainless steel, one of my favorites. I think the thing I'm not going to like about this gun is the fact it's made by Springfield Armory. But you guys know I'm one of those people that has a hard time forgiving Springfield Armory. And in full disclosure, I have no Springfield Armory guns of my own. I just look at them and go, I just can't buy them and can't support them because of what they did in Illinois, especially in regards to the other gun companies when Illinois was going to pass a very sweeping anti-gun package. They made sure through their special lobbying group that they got exempted from this bill, but it would put everybody else out of business. And for me, when it comes to our rights, it's all or none, right? So what is it? The Three Musketeers, one for all and all for one. And they were like, nope, we are totally fine putting our competition out of business and having this anti-gun bill pass. In fact, we'll even help you write it. And that's kind of what they did. Now, they have since backtracked. They claimed they never did, but there's way too much evidence out there. This is a while ago, and the people that were involved in that are no longer part of the company. But I don't know. I have a hard time. I have the same issue with Ruger from what they did in the 90s. And I know old man Ruger's gone. I know it's a publicly traded company. He has, the family doesn't do any of that anymore. They're not outspoken I totally get it. They make great guns. I own a couple of Rugers, and that's it. But I just can't forgive them for that. It's just one of those things, okay? I just kind of feel like there's so many other options. If you're looking for 1911s, there's so many companies that out there. But I guess I need to be better because we should allow people to be redeemed, right? People should be able to have a redemption story. So maybe I do need to soften my feelings on them. But they do make good guns. So we're going to try out this one. Springfield Armory Ultra Compact 45. And it's in the true caliber any 1911 should be in, 45 ACP, not 9mm. All right. The other one. And I know he picked this one up in an estate sale. And unfortunately, we don't have the complete package on this one. So it'd be nice if we had more magazines and the caliber conversions. But historically, this is a really cool one. One that I have always wanted to shoot and try out and find out if it's all that. Because collectors go goo goo gaga over this thing. It was Heckler & Koch's very first pistol. Their very first pistol design, the Hk4. Now, the reason it's called the Hk4 is because originally you were able to change the calibers 4 different ways. So they offered these in 22 long rifle, 380 ACP, 32 ACP, and I believe 25 ACP. I'll have to double check. It was 4 calibers. And if you can find a complete set, it's almost unobtainium now, and you're going to pay out the wazoo for it. There's some people that have 1 or 2 caliber conversions for it. I don't know if they were ever sold as complete sets, but most of the time you pick it up in one, and you could buy the other sets. It's a change of a barrel and a magazine. And I think that's it. That's all you had to do. Barrel and a magazine, and you can go between multiple calibers. It also comes apart really different than other pistols. There's a little lever here, and the trigger guard comes apart just like an Hk4, which I have one of those, and I'll probably get it out to show it side by side with this. And it has a heel release magazine. We only have one magazine for this review, okay? Only one. So I will have to just do some cutting away and then load the magazine again and then shoot the next magazine through it. So I won't be able to do a quick mag change test with it, but everything else will be fine. And the manual of arms, a little bit different. Obviously, the slide locks open on an empty magazine. So let's go ahead and drop the magazine. And you will notice there is no slide lock. So you just can't put your thumb up here and drop the slide. So you're thinking, okay, maybe it's like a Walther PPK. Pull the slide back and we'll go home. No, it does not do that. So how in the world do you close the slide on one of these things? Well, you have two options. The first one is insert the magazine. You insert the magazine, it trips a lever, and it will load that first round, closing the slide. But what if you want to close the slide but not insert the magazine? That's easy. Oh yeah, it locks open even when the magazine is out. All you gotta do is pull the trigger. Now some people aren't gonna like that, and they're gonna think that's dangerous, because what if there was a round in there and it went off? Well, it doesn't drop the hammer. So the hammer is right here. It's kind of like a bob hammer. And wait, hold on. It has a magazine safety disconnect. All right, so there it is. So that's when the hammer drops. And that's when you know it would have gone banged. But as I mentioned, when you drop the slide, the hammer's still back. So it doesn't go home with the slide. So that's the actual safe way of closing the slide. A little bit different. So you got to get used to that. And I could see this being an issue if you shoot this pistol a whole bunch and get used to the manual of arms and then switch over to a more traditional pistol. You might have a negligent discharge or an accidental discharge. One of those things you got to be used to. So yeah, really kind of interesting pistol. I'm excited to give it a try and see what it's all about. HK's first pistol. This one's in 380. It's all we're going to be able to review it with, and with one magazine. But I still think we can talk about the historical significance of this pistol. I believe it's a stamped sheet metal slide. Yeah, I think that's really it. I think the frame, the frame is metal. It wasn't polymer like the P9 is. I think the P9 is, or the P9S. I gotta think. I think it is polymer. This one's metal. So there you go. The Hk4. So we're gonna do some more historically interesting stuff, which I like because, my friend D has an amazing collection of all the latest and greatest tactical stuff. And my friend David has a huge collection of really cool tactical stuff that might be a little bit older and more vintage. And that's why I wanted to cultivate this relationship, because I like having all these different things that I review from different eras, different periods, different manual of arms, because you guys know I'm really more into the history and the mechanics of guns. So anyway, that's all I got for you today. First impressions and upcoming projects video. So let me know if you know anything about any of the guns I have on the table today. If there's anything I should take into consideration, please tell me what you know about carbon fiber barrels and their point of impact shift, potentially, if and when they get hot. So if you watch to the end of this video, the word of the day, if you want to participate, so I know you're a true vault dweller, is composite. Composite because this has a composite barrel, and that's a hard word to use in a sentence. So there you go. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and as always, thanks for watching.